Welcome. Thank you for being with me today as we discuss CTE resources and what's available out there. And we're recording this session, so hopefully if you miss it and you want to see it or you want to watch it again, we can certainly make that available. But thank you for being here and welcome to your meeting. As we move through our session here, this kind of tickles me. You see Kramer here, he says resources. What would I do with those? Well, I don't know why that makes me funny, but we all know we need resources. And even if Kramer doesn't really work there, he has to have resources to work with and to get it on. And teachers are really no different, especially in this year when we have such trying times and with the uncertainty in how schools will open and how long they will be open. Resources are going to be a key factor in making your school year a success. So when we come in and we talk about what CTE teaching resources you'll need, the first thing that I recommend for any teacher is to do a resources review. A teacher review. And so the reason you would do a teacher review for your class is so that you can determine what is actually needed. And so what resources do I need? And then inventory the existing resources that you have. To do a teacher review, for those of you that are fairly new teachers, or if you haven't been in it very long, if you're an experienced educator, then you're probably going to know this. But if you're a new teacher, you can find the TEKS at the TEA CTE homepage. And so it's really very simple. You can just Google TEA CTE, and you'll come up to the Career and Technical Education homepage. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to find the TEKS that are currently in effect. And you can see there that they say for chapter 127 and chapter 130, and 127 and 130 actually refers to the section of Texas Administrative Code that the CTE TEKS fall under. But so you can go there and the current TEKS, and you can tell they're current because it says currently in effect. And so go to those TEKS. You can just kind of pick one at random because as you scroll down a little bit further, the TEKS are all listed by career cluster. And beginning with subchapter A, agriculture, subchapter B, architecture and construction, and so on. For our particular example today, we're pulling down the business management and administration, business marketing and finance. And you can see that that relates to chapter 130, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And if you was, I might should have said this earlier, but the TEKS, TEKS, is actually acronym for Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And this is for career and technical education, even though all subject matters will have TEKS. And so I just scrolled down just for sample sake to go down to the principles of business, marketing, and finance. And you can see that, of course, that little silk row there from 130 means, of course, that's from chapter 130 of Texas Administrative Code. And then the course is Principles of Business, Marketing, and Finance. I want you to make a note that a couple of things when you're looking at these TEKS. In the general requirements, that's when they'll have the recommended grade level, any prerequisites that are covered. And then B, that's A, and then B3 is always the description of the course. B4 is where it recommends, uh, strongly encourages actually for students to participate in career and technical education um, student organizations or leadership and other extracurricular activities. Okay, but anyway, B3 is always the description. So I know there's 100 places to get it, but if you need a quick place to grab the description for the course you're working with, you can just go to the TEKS and pull it out of B3. And another thing I wanted to make a note of while we were talking, sometimes it's easy if you have 4 or 5 different preps and you're in the beginning of the year, or maybe you're teaching more than one cluster. Notice that this Texas Essential Knowledge and Skill is common to all clusters. And so the actual knowledge and skills actually begin with C, and C1 is going to be in every principles course that you open up. The student demonstrates professional standards, employability skills as required by business and industry. So that's pretty generic, and a lot of information fits under that. And of course, that's why that TEK is common to all career clusters. Also, if you're pretty new to TEKS, I want you to recognize that these essential knowledge and skills are written in action verbs correlating to the various levels of thinking skills. And just some examples here, you'd have C3, the student is expected to use verbal and nonverbal communication skills. Well, A would be identify components of effective and non-effective communications. And B would be evaluate the effectiveness of conflict resolution techniques in various situations. And so the two action verbs there are identify and evaluate naturally. And so those are actual TEKS that I just copied and pasted onto the slide. And so then we go over here to Bloom's taxonomy, which references the levels of thinking, the higher level thinking skills. And so you can see the base of the pyramid are the lowest level thinking skills that go all the way up to the top to the highest levels of thinking skills. And we all know from past training that the higher on the higher level thinking skills that you can use or that you can draw on from students in class, the better they understand the material, they're able to utilize the material, and their retention is just off the charts better when you get into those higher level thinking skills. But going back over here, you can see that on the lower level, you have the word identify, and that's where a student can explain ideas and concepts, and there's a place for that. But then up on the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy, you can see the word evaluate, and where they make a justification, they're able to judge, defend, select, support. And so just know that as you're going through the TEKS, be cognizant of the fact that those verbs are written to correlate to the higher level thinking skills. These action statements in the TEKS, use them to write your lesson objective. If you're having trouble writing a lesson objective, well, fear no more. Go straight to the TEKS, and you can see we have the same two essential skills listed here, and it says identify components of effective and non-effective communication. We'll just take that and copy it, paste it into an objective statement. The student will be able to identify components of effective and non-effective communication. So, you have your objective, task analysis complete, objective written, and ready to go into your lesson plan. This year, when we have the different variations of instruction going on, whether that be on-site, remote, synchronous, or remote asynchronous, when we have these different types of instruction that are occurring in our school districts, probably more than ever, it's going to be important to document your teaching and the students' mastery of the TEKS. And the way that you do that are through lesson plans, assessments, and your grade book. Why did we teach it? Because it was in the TEKS. Put it in our lesson plan, we assessed it, and we put it in the grade book. As a matter of fact, of course, your learning management systems will do a lot of this for you, I understand, but in your grade book, that's literally a way that they're going to take attendance for some of the remote instruction. Okay, so when we start talking about resources, you don't really have to get real fancy or real clever, because the Texas CTE Resource Center, which is powered by TEA, is probably going to be your first stop shopping for most teachers. And so we're looking at this website, and it's very simple, texascte.org. And again, it's powered by TEA. And you can see here that they have sites that are set up for teachers, administrators, counselors, work-based learning, and so much more. You can find engaging TEKS-aligned CTE classroom resources that you can use with your students as part of classroom instruction or career and industry exploration. It really is a fantastic site, and you know that everything's going to be on the up and up because it's powered by TEA. And so I thought the first thing we would look at would be the teacher sites. And when you go to, you would actually, I just clicked on the teachers. And when you go there, the first thing that you come to are the career cluster. Sorry, that's probably in the way there. But you come to the career cluster pages. And so the resources are by career cluster. And I just clicked on, for the example, business management and administrative career cluster for business, marketing, and finance. And you can see on the left how the page is set up. They have a description of the cluster. Over here, they have the different resources available, the pathways, the teacher resources, the professional associations, career and technical, student organizations, workforce resources, and additional resources. And so I'm just going to click right here on teacher resources. And so when you click on the teacher resources, you come up to a host of resources, and starting with, you see at the top of scope and sequence, you have lesson plans. The program of study link is down at this time, but normally you have access to your program of study. And then you have all of the course pages. So each individual course will have its own page. And so I just pulled up, for an example, principles of business, marketing, and finance. And the first thing that you can look at, we're looking at the course, the principles of business, marketing, and finance, and then scope and sequence. How are you going to plan out your year? And so they have what can become an interactive scope and sequence for your beginning principles of business course. And so I'll click on scope and sequence, and you can see that this document has everything that you would certainly want. It's got the name of the course, the service ID number, the number of credits offered, grade placement, prerequisites. It has a course description. It has a total number of periods. And so generally, when we think of a period, we're thinking about a minimum of 45 minutes a day. There's usually 180 days in a school year. but you know, you have some testing days that are pulled out. And so, you know, 175 periods is a lot of material to cover. It even gives you the number of minutes and the number of hours needed. And so it will give you the unit number, the title. Uh, here it's telling you it assumes a 45-minute class. Uh, Unit 1 for Principles of Business is Business Communications. And then it'll even give you the TEKS that it relates back to. So that's a pretty well laid out document, and it's something that you don't have to do. And it's also accessible. You can see there that you can enable editing, and if you want to move some of these units around, you certainly have that ability. And so the next the next resource available under the courses and the teacher resources are the lesson plans. And so just click on this lesson plan. And so here we are, the cluster is business management. Course name is Principles of Business, Marketing, and Finance. The lesson or the unit title is Business Operations and Organizational Structures. It gives you the TEKS and the expectations, and it even comes in and develops the performance objective for you. And going on down here, give you resources, anything. This is a complete, thorough lesson plan. So if you're a pretty new teacher or you're teaching this course for the first time, having somebody pre-prepare your lesson plans is a pretty big advantage or great step. And then if you scroll on down that page where the teacher resources are, you can see that they have some additional documents, and they're adding to these all the time. So, you know, make sure that this is a page. If you teach Principles of Business, Marketing, and Finance, make sure that you bookmark this page and go back to it frequently, because they have this this project here like a team sales PowerPoint, and you can click on that project and it pulls up the rubric that you would use for this project-based exercise that have students working in groups. Great resources. And then keeping on in the business management cluster, you can see I just clicked on down here. We're back on the same page, back on our previous page here from teacher resources. Go down to CTSOs. And if you're a teacher looking for resources for enrichment, nothing's better than the Career and Technical Education student organization. And so you can see that for business, those organizations would be BPA, Texas BPA, Future Business Leaders of America, and possibly DECA. If you were in ag, it of course would say FFA. If you were in culinary, it would say FCCLA. So the CTSOs are aligned and patterned with the career cluster from which you're working with the course. And so now let's look at some workforce resources. The workforce information, you can also, these are outside links, but they're also on the TEA, TXCTE.org site as just a place to help store the links. So the first one that I want to show you is a site that's been around forever. And if you're new to teaching, you really want to bookmark this and make sure you use it. But it's the Texas Reality Check. The Texas Reality Check is a tool that you can use for students to see what it takes to live once they graduate. And so if your student graduates, they go to college, whatever it is, and then they want certain things in life, then it takes money. And so this reality check will show, it's a lifestyle calculator, and it'll show students exactly what is needed to live the lifestyle that they want. And it's pretty eye-opening. And I want to show you here, you have the ability to pick your region. And for this exercise, I picked El Paso. Nothing fancy, just kind of a home here. When I looked at all these options, I thought, well, a 2-bedroom apartment versus a medium priced home. I'll just buy the medium priced home and make a good investment. But that's going to cost me $871 a month. That's a pretty good deal. And then I have to pay my utilities, and that's going to cost me just the most basic. I want internet, I want mobile phone, I want water, I want gas, and I want cable, and that's all going to add up to $437 a month when I kick in my electricity. None of this works without electricity. And so you have to have some food during the month. So I think I'm going to select what most people do and pick a combination of eating at home and grabbing fast food. Nothing fancy on the car. I'm going to drive an old used pickup here. And so, but by the time I keep it up and put gas and pay insurance, I'm going to be into that for about $550 a month. And then you keep going through the reality check, and you buy clothes, you pay for basic health care, personal care, toothpaste, shampoo, entertainment. I might go to a movie every now and then when the plague lets up. Just miscellaneous, minimal student loan debt. I took out uh, some of the money that I used to pay for college was in student loans, so I have a little bit of debt there. Family expenses, if you, I put down 0, no kids. None of them think they're ever going to get married or have kids. So I put 0 on family expenses. And then just savings, you want to put it, just bare minimum, scrape 2% for savings. And so when you do all that and you list all these here, then it tells you that in order to live this life that you selected through all of those, life in El Paso will require you $39,799 at a minimum. And then it says, can you explore that? And then they start going through it and they let you explore occupations by salary. And you can see over here, if you don't have $39,800, it's not going to pull up because that's the minimum that you have to make to do it. So that's a pretty cool little exercise. It's an outstanding beginning of the year exercise for any career cluster. And it would certainly fit in that citizenship category for C1. The next workforce tool that we want to look at is the Texas Career Check. This is a little bit older, but still an outstanding resource. And in the Texas Career Check, you can explore careers and explore education. When you explore careers, you just do it. They list them alphabetically, and you can look salaries. And of course, you click on accountants, and it's going to tell you what accountants do, how much they make, where the openings are in the country and in Texas. And then if you explore education, you can go down here and you can find the colleges, course by alphabetical, or you can search, and then it'll tell you what the enrollment is and tell you what the cost. And so I just pulled up El Paso Community College, and it tells you some general information about the college, when it was founded. It has 5 libraries. It certainly has computer labs. It has the address, the website, and information to call. It tells you what the tuition is in state per year. It tells you what room and board fees that you would have to pay. And so this is a great document for getting some real basic information about what your schools. And I know that most schools would have this on their website. However, this is a place where you don't have to go from school to school. You can just browse through the Texas Career Check. Texas Career Check also has an interest profiler. If you have students, if you want them to go in and kind of, I know there's 1,000 of these out there, but I believe the more of these interest profilers that they take, the more accurate they become. Kind of help a student learn about what they may want to do when they graduate. Texas Work Prep or is another great site that you can use. Texas Work Prep has information for job seekers, businesses, and employers. And again, this is powered by the Texas Workforce Commission. The Texas Work Prep also has courses on here that students can go in there and take. You can go in there and take, but if you want to give students, especially like your career prep class, this may be a great exercise that you could do in class or remote. I went in here and I picked the Succeeds at Work course, and you type in your name and your email and hit go, and off you go. And this is what an actual course looks like. It'll have a video playing, changes occur rapidly. That guy's going to be reading that. Of course, you can read along with it. You watch a video, and then you have questions and activities at the end, just like any other course. But it's a great free resource, especially like if you're teaching a co-op class, but it could really be for a freshman general employability skills course. So any career and technical education career cluster certainly is always going to need their students once they graduate to succeed at work, and so that makes that a good course. And so the next resource that I think is great to look at is one of the better ones, and that's the Texas OnCourse. And Texas OnCourse is texasoncourse.org, nothing fancy. And this is a choice. This is the place where you can prepare for college, you can do career preparation, and it has tools for students and families, has tools for teachers, and tools for administrators. And so I just clicked over here onto where it says educators, clicked on teachers, and you can see that it has middle school, early high school, freshman, sophomore, late high school, juniors and seniors. It has the goals, it has lessons, curriculums, helping you apply for college, helping you develop endorsement. It is a fantastic resource that students can use not only to plan future careers, but also plan out their high school if they're 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grader. And so we go on in here and we look at see what's available, and career exploration, endorsement, personal graduation plans, and they have these different resources. And the one that we're going to look at right here is Middle Galaxy. Middle Galaxy is a game that's designed for Texas middle school students. If you're a middle school teacher, and I'm telling you, it's great for freshmen, even sophomores too. Texas middle school students have big decisions to make about their future starting in the 8th grade. This space-themed game makes it easy to learn about options in high school and beyond. And so you click on play the game, put your name and email address in, off you go, Middle Galaxy loads. As you can see, it's got some pretty cool graphics if you're 50. My boys make fun of me for saying that's pretty, but I think it's pretty cool graphics. A lot of people tell me I think like an 8th grader, so I'll be in pretty good shape. Okay, so you can see it goes in here, and it's just like any game that probably they play on their phone every day. And so they talk about this group of cadets that come in and accomplish missions. And they come in here, and so they're picking a team. And part of picking a team is knowing what all the team members do. And so you go in there and you identify the electrician, and it tells what the ability and skills are needed, and all about the different careers. And it tells you if it's a good match for the project that you're working on. It's a very cool game. I only played it about 7 hours yesterday myself. My attention span's not that long, but it was pretty good. It's a great tool, and middle schoolers really they like it just fine. Texas OnCourse has great resources for all levels, so make sure you check out that site. The Federal Reserve Bank analysis, and I want to make sure that I couldn't really reach out to one specific cluster. So most of what I'm trying to give you is generic, and no matter what you teach, you can use these exercises. And this Federal Reserve Bank analysis is just incredible. It's a cool website. It's got a cool new type of look to it. And so you can see that they have information for consumers, community leaders, teachers, and students. And so I clicked over here to the teachers, and you can find all of the interactive lesson plans. And these lesson plans are in PDF, which is great. And so this is what a lesson plan actually looks like. And of course, this particular lesson is budget to save. And then you can see that these lesson plans are fully interactive. They're fantastic. And so I was going through one of the lessons and it asked me to put down my assets. And of course, I have an old pickup and some used golf clubs. And my liability was lack of skills. And so I got this far and I got depressed and moved on. But it's a interactive lesson plan and it is really fantastic. And this is something that the students, again, can do while they're sitting in the classroom. I think I do it fully remote. And if you're a student, then it has great exercises for you. Just go in there and do some work on your own, some enrichment projects, and you can build your build your wealth at your desk and set financial goals, budget, and save and invest. There's some vendor resources. Texas is blessed with numerous resource partners for career and technical education. The following slides represent just a few samples. There was no way to pull all of the great vendors that work with all of us. I just grabbed some from our resource page. And so it's impossible to list all of our friends here. And so thank you guys for being understanding on that. Reality Works was just one that kind of pulled at random. They have the free lesson plans for you put your ag for all the career clusters, put your name in there, your email, and it pops up with 4 or 5 lesson plan. Kind of a survival tool to start the year. Also, they had a soft skills implementation guide, and we know that soft skills are important in all career clusters. Also, ICV, incredible materials. You can buy the teacher versions. You can get the student versions where the students can work in class or they can remotely at home. And we learned at our CTEK conference that ICV is now interacting with Schoology, which is what the state bought for every school district. So if you're using the TEA free learning management system Schoology, then your ICV will fully interact with that. And here's, of course, ICV has lesson plans too. And I just pulled up business management, this from the business information management one course. And this is here's a lesson plan, an activity, and a fully functioning project. And they have this for every single lesson. Those fantastic resources. Dynamic learning, a lot in the spring. I pulled this one up because a lot of people are looking for career prep, work-based learning. And of course, this is a career-ready program and great for your work-based learning kiddos. And of course, all the resources, let's pull this up, CTAT, which is the organization I'm with, we certainly value all of our partners. And then the other resource is the Career and Technical Association of Texas, the organization that I work for. And the Career and Technical, we have a website, ctat.org. And you can go to ctat.org and scroll down and click on Read More under Resources. And that'll take you to a plethora of resources for career and technical education. You can see that textbook companies, Certiport for certification testing, these are all resources that were sent to us in the spring by different Career Tech member, CTAT members from across the state and our different vendor partners or resource partners. And you can even scroll down further and you can see that the upskill work design for virtual internships. Ryan said at our CTAT conference that you can certainly use virtual internships for developing career prep internships and practicums. And that is a great video. I just saw that and I thought certainly a great video for developing virtual and micro internships. And then even on the CTAT resource page, we have resources by career cluster. So health science, pocket nurse, National Health Association, cosmetology has Milady resources and TDLR. And so you can just scroll through there and you can see different resources by career cluster when they're available. Also, don't forget that your service center always has a ton of resources, and those are great people that are working out there for you on the front line. So make sure that you also go to your career and technical education service center page to see what's available as far as resources there. And most of the time, they'll at least have some links for you. Also, I'm going to make this available to Oscar in the form of a PDF that he can just send out to everyone that's here. And then these are all live links. So once you get this PDF, every resource that I talked about during this presentation, I've included the live link. And if you're from Cliff Clavin's point of view, if you're a mailman, you have to be glad that all of these resources aren't delivered by hand, because that'd certainly be worse than carrying the Sears catalog around all day. Can you imagine a mailman back when the Sears catalog used to have to come out delivering all those every house? If you remember, they were pretty heavy, showing my age here. So I guess that's time for some general questions and discussion. If you're watching this via a recording, my name is Mark Boshier, B-O-S-H-E-R, and I'm with the Career and Technical Association of Texas. And you can email me at mark@ctat.org, mark@ctat.org. And I think that we're going to end the video here. And if you're part of the conference, then we are going to pop out and go into some live Q&A. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the Zoom session.